Welcome, everybody. I am so excited that everybody is here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is James Leath. I am a mental performance coach and youth sport advocate. I speak all over the world. I've written a couple books. Today's webinar is specifically on my most recent book, Coaching with Purpose. And all throughout the summer, I'm going to be traveling around the country in America, just talking about this book and different workshops. And what I wanted to do is offer an opportunity to just share some experiences. And I remember when I was a coach and how I would always feel like I was just in this cave and it was just me and my athletes and the parents. And, there was no kind of development because there was just so much going on. You're booking buses and you're doing schedules and lineups and all this other stuff and ordering gear. And so when I stepped away from full-time coaching a couple years ago, I committed to being the person that can speak life into all the coaches that raised me. A little bit about my story. I was basically raised from my coaches. My father was an alcoholic. My mom took off, and my dad was like, you either need to have a job or you need to be in a sport. And so I spent 4 years of high school playing 7 different sports, lettered in all of them, had amazing coaches, and have continued to be in the sports world. I want to start with about 23 years ago. And if you haven't had the workbook, like I have the workbook here, let me give you an idea of just expectations. The workbook is designed for you to take it and do it with your coaches. We are going to kind of go through a little bit of stuff today, but that is just a resource that I created so that you can use it to be with your coaches and develop one another. A lot of the stuff we're going to talk about. Today, I'm just going to fire hose a bunch of stuff at you because it's Friday, it's the end of the year, and I just want you to take away some good stuff. If you could do me a favor, and after this webinar, shoot me an email, a DM, or something of just like your biggest takeaway. That would be huge for me because I want to know what sticks. And I don't want to waste your time. So I really want you to get a lot out of this. Years ago, I'm 45 now. When I started coaching, I was 18. And when I was 22, I was coaching this 6th grade football team. And at the end of the game, the coach walks up to me and he goes, hey, I need your help. Well, this guy was in his 40s. I was in my 20s back then. And I go, yeah, what's up? He was like, he had this big old notebook. And I go, what is that? He goes, this is my playbook. And I was like, are you kidding me? I go, how many plays do you have? He's like, well, I've got 12 formations, probably 40 or 50 plays. I'm like, dude, these are 6th graders. Like, what are you doing? I pulled out my 3x5 card. I go, I have 8 plays. And I just beat you 42-0. Like, that's a problem. Now, I said it with much more tact. I'm just relaying the story. I wasn't like, you're terrible. It was a really nice conversation. And he goes, I just don't know what I'm doing. And I go, well, neither do I, but I mean, maybe I can help. And so he offered to buy me coffee the next morning. The next morning, I show up for coffee, and he's got a yellow notepad of all these questions. And I couldn't believe that he was asking me for advice. I recorded that conversation, and 20 plus years later, I wrote the book. That's what Coaching with Purpose is. All the stuff I came up with back then is stuff that we talked about in those moments. And at the end of the day, reflecting back on it, he was making youth sports too complex. It was unnecessary to be complex. That short stint was like 4 years of coaching 6th grade football, I lost 2 games. And it wasn't because I had a great strategy. It wasn't, my athletes were the same size and the same speed as everybody else. The thing was, I kept it simple. I kept it really, really simple. And because of that, I was able to find a lot of victories and a lot of wins. And the kids were just really excited to play because they didn't hesitate. So when you go through this book, we're going to get to number 1 first. And so if you're following along, it's on page 6. And I have some stories that I want to share, and then I have some things that like do this immediately. Like the stuff that I'm sharing today is stuff that over the last 25 years has just worked. It's time tested. It hasn't changed much. Maybe the delivery is a little different, but when it came to warming up my players, I started coaching football first. I went into other sports afterwards, but I remember one of the most powerful situations I ever got in that I remember so clearly to this day is about organization. I went to this school, it was River Bluff, and I remember I had my boys, 6th grade boys, football team, and we were all huddled up, and I was looking at the other team. I was just watching their warm-ups. And I'm noticing that this coach is just yelling at his kids, just being nuts, just like, get in line, you're embarrassing me, all this other stuff. My kids, we were circled up, we were warming up, we were doing our things. We had done it 50 times before. And I huddled up all the kids and I go, hey, teaching moment, like just real quick, I want you to look at the other team. And they all looked at it and I said, can somebody tell me how you would feel if I was yelling at you like that before the game? And a kid raised his hand. He goes, Coach, we'd probably lose. And I was like, that's a cool answer. It's not the question that I asked, but I appreciate that you said that. And another kid goes, I would be really stressed. And I go, yeah, like before a game, if you're stressing out your athletes, if you're just going nuts at them, just know you've probably already lost the game. You might have spent hours on pregame and getting ready for everything. But the point is that these kids, like they can't handle stress the way an adult does. And a lot of adults actually don't handle stress very well either. But you want to keep things simple. So whether it's baseball or football or basketball or volleyball or softball, whatever the sport is, the more simple you can keep warm-ups and just get them ready, the more organized they're going to feel. It's also really intimidating to the other team when they see a team is just flowing through the warm-up. They're just looking over there. I remember when I was at IMG Academy, I was working with the girls lacrosse team. And they came into the leadership room. I was the head of leadership at IMG Academy. They came into my room and I went outside real quick to go see their sticks and their bags. And they were just all over the place. So I went in and I go, hey, I want everybody to go outside and I want you to think about what does it mean for a team to have their stuff just laying out like this? No judgment. I'm not your coach. I'm your leadership coach. So they looked at it and they came in. They're like, yeah, they're super disorganized. And I was like, yeah, how does that make you feel? It makes me feel that we probably could beat them pretty easily. Awesome. Go set up your stuff the way that you want other teams to see you. And it was perfect. And I have a picture of it in my Team Building for Athletes book where it was just set up really nice. And I go, okay, everybody come out and look at it. And when they looked at it, they were like, that would be an intimidating team. Now, I've done this with basketball teams, with football teams, with even soccer teams lining up their bags. There's a sense of pride that even kids have when their stuff looks good. If as a coach, you just let them throw their bags into a pile, try next practice to just be like, hey, we're going to line them up and then take a look and tell them to look at it and say, how does that team perform? And I'm telling you, subconsciously, they're going to be like, we are a better team. And it had nothing to do with anything other than you just set up the bags right? So if you can get organized and they know that, it looks good, it's kind of like teaching your kid to make their bed in the morning. Like it's so great to wake up. And this first thing I do is I make my bed because when I come home, it's made. But when the kids do it, it feels so good. So that's the first thing. Have your kids set up their stuff nicely before practice. In the book, in chapter 1, that Get Organized, one of the things that gets brought up, and I didn't know where to put this in the book, but it was conditioning. And I had this coach in Houston. I think he's on here. I thought I saw him earlier. But he invited me out to his soccer organization, and he goes, hey, I need to know how to make 8-year-olds do conditioning. I was like, you want 8-year-olds to condition? That's easy. And he goes, are you kidding me? I go, oh yeah, that's so easy. I happen to have some Skittles in my bag. a big bag of Skittles. And I don't know, I don't know why I had it. I think it was like close to Halloween or something. But I was like, can you get me like 50 pennies? He goes, yeah. So we lined up all the 8-year-olds and we lined up all their parents on the other side, about 30 feet away. And the parents had cones. And on the line, I throw down a bunch of pennies. And I go, okay, you can take a penny at a time to the cone. You have 3 minutes. So now these kids are running to their parents, putting the penny in the cone, running back, grabbing the penny, going like this, and just exhausting themselves. Since then, I've put like a nickel twice as far, and then a 25, like a quarter, like across the entire field. So they can run farther. But in 3 minutes, however many pennies they have or how many cents they have, that's how many Skittles they get. It's the easiest thing in the world. And I'm telling you, from the 8-year-olds to when I was working for the Chicago Bulls. With the Chicago Bulls, we played red light, green light for fun-sized fun-sized Snickers. And I'm telling you, I've never seen grown men work so hard at red light, green light for fun-sized Snickers. So don't neglect the power of candy. Like, that is huge. And any parent that's like, oh, I don't want my kid eating that, you'd be like, I saw you at McDonald's last night. You're fine. Like a couple Skittles, some Snickers, you're going to be okay. So when it comes to getting organized, and I just keep coming back to this one thing, keep it simple. Just keep it with the fundamentals. And you're going to hear me say the fundamentals over and over and over. All right. So module number two. Actually, sorry, let me go back one. What is one part of practice? Put this in the chat. What is one part of your practice or your coaching that feels disorganized? Just so I can get a gauge on where you're at. What's something in your coaching practice that just feels disorganized? Halftime talks. The beginning of practice. Warm up. Oh, yeah, Andrew. I hear you. Good to see you, Andrew. Going to break and coming back. Oh my gosh. I could spend the rest of the webinar on those 4 things. Those are fantastic. I'm going to do it. Okay. So I got a new book. It's called Friday Night Lights. It is about it's called The Anatomy of a Great Speech. I haven't advertised it at all. I think 20 people know about it. It's available on Amazon. The whole reason I wrote it is because, and I was going to talk about this later, but you brought that up, and I don't know, is it Purdue? But the whole thing about speeches is, if you remember any speech of your entire athlete career, you have a better memory than I do. I don't remember one. I don't remember any of them. I don't remember one that was like inspiring. I've won championships. I've gone defeated. There's never a speech that really is something that is like you have to really worry about it. Because at the end of the day, the kids want to know, do you believe in them? The kids want to know, do you have a plan? That's it. Kids, team, I got a plan. Here it is. I believe that you can execute it. There's your halftime speech. Like, that's it. It doesn't need to be, crazy. And in this book, Friday Night Fire, I'll admit it's for football coaches, but the first chapter, you can get the first chapter for free. It's all about designing a speech and how to do that. Because I love that kind of stuff. As far as the beginning of practice, I like that you said that, Rob, because I actually skipped over that in the module 1. When I was teaching at a high school, I had this thing on the board, and it was an acronym. The acronym was just the first letters of before or by the end of this lesson, by the end of this day, I will be able to. So the first letter of every single one of those words. By the end of this day, I will be able to. And it was for every teacher in the entire school, because every kid needed to be able to answer the question, what is the purpose of today's class, today's lesson, today's time together? And if you have that in mind and you tell the kids at the beginning, hey, today, let's see, it's basketball. Today we're going to work on the jump stop and hitting the corner of the square. That is the base. We're going to do a bunch of other stuff, but at the end of this practice, I want everybody to be able to do this. By the end of this practice, I want everybody to be able to jump up in the air and maybe ghost spike, not hitting a ball, but then landing soft. So that way we're gonna limit the amount of injuries that we have from landing. By the end of this day, I will be able to. That's something that you can focus on. And in here, there's like a practice plan that you can write out. But that beginning of practice, hey, I'm going to set the intention for today's practice. Like that's a very simple way of doing it. Warm-ups, Andrew. I was at USC and I saw Pete Carroll do warm-ups. And when he was back at USC, and I took it from there, and I've been doing it ever since. Let's say, for example, football. Well, it was football, right? So he would get his athletes in formations, and then they'd run 10 yards. That was their warm-up. Their warm-up was, hey, we're going to get in triple right, tight end left, ready, break. They'd get to their formation, set, go, and then they would just run. Then they got formations out of the way. So imagine doing that with your sport. That's your warm-up. That's just how you get them going. Also, just know, I'm 45 years old. I need to warm up a lot longer than a 12-year-old. The 12-year-old's already warmed up. Like, you gotta remember that these are not professional athletes. These are kids that have been running around all day, albeit probably less than when we were younger, but they still have been. So it doesn't take a whole long to get them warmed up. And then going to break and coming back. Olga, I do have an idea about the breaks that I'm going to spend just a second on. Give them a longer break and give them something to do. Instead of being like, go there and come back, be like, okay, you guys actually have 10 minutes. Go ahead and just relax yourself. Like, go if you need to sit down, if you want to do, or you can be more active about it. Be like, during your break, I want you to create a secret handshake between 3 people. You have 10 minutes. Now they do that handshake when they sub in and sub out, and they do that all the time. I stole that from IMG. The football team would literally take a 10-minute break just to work on private handshakes, and it was awesome. It got really creative, but it builds bonding. Getting the girls to focus on, okay, cool. Lisa, that is something I stole from Anson Dorrance, soccer coach. He would give them like 10 minutes at the beginning of practice to run around the track as slow as they wanted to do it. They were able to joke around, push each other in the bushes, goof off. They ended up just kind of running in a little circle, and that was their social time. And they knew that when they got back to the practice, it wasn't conditioning. It was just connection. When they got back to where they were going to practice, it was time to go. And there was a line that they crossed. Literally, when you cross this line, it's time for practice. I've tried that with college athletes all the way down to like Little League. It works. Like you just have to be like, when you cross this line, don't cross this line until you're ready. And then you can even joke with it, especially with the younger kids, and be like, you crossed the line and you're not ready, go back. And they'll be like, okay, cool. It's a lot of fun. You can do that. And then let's see, Rob, I like that recommunicating. Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, let's move on. Great questions or great statements. I hope that served you a little bit. Module 2, setting expectations. Now, these days, much more than back 20, 30 years ago, parents they're there all the time. Like, they're there at practice, they're in your DMs, they're in your text chat box, like all the stuff. Over communicate with parents. I go deeper in that in the book, so I'm not going to go too much into that right now because I want to talk a little bit more about setting expectations with the team. But just over communicate with the parents, pre-communicate all the stuff. Here's something that happens a lot. I see coaches getting their new team and then throwing on them expectations, throwing on them, look, this is what we're doing. This is what I expect of you. Here's what we're going to be doing for the rest of the year. And you might have new players on the team. I think that's a mistake because every team is different. Your expectations may be exactly the same, but how you deliver those expectations might be different depending on the team that you have. You might have a very outgoing team. You might have a very introverted team. You might have a split. So you don't want to just come be like, hey, listen, this is it. This is what it is. I want you to sign this tomorrow. And no, have a conversation with your leaders. One of the best things you can do, especially for a varsity coach, is do an exit interview with your seniors and be like, what'd you like? What'd you dislike? No judgment. Did you not like it when I yelled at you? Did you like it when I did this? Whatever it is. And then be like, what expectations will be good for the next team? And then you go interview the new leaders, the juniors, that are going to lead, the seniors that are going to lead. And you go, hey, what worked last year? What didn't work last year? Here's the thing. You talked to them and then you gave the expectations. The expectations could be exactly the same as if you hadn't talked to them, but you talked to them. And the perception from them is that we have a little bit of say in what goes on, which means they feel like they're bought in to the program. If you do it before talking to them, then they'll be like, okay, we work for coach. And that's a dictatorship. That's a totalitarian thing. They're not going to feel like, coaches really want them to succeed. When you bring them in on the conversation, even if it doesn't change what you're going to say, you brought them in on the conversation. And that's huge. And so remember that when you're setting team expectations. And, and I'll talk to young kids about playing favorites. I wrote this article a couple years ago, and it's been the number one shared article that I've ever written. But because it literally says, like, yes, I play my favorites. And I tell the parents that too. And then I wait and let them just like start steaming. They're like, oh, I knew it, this coach. And I go, here's how to be one of my favorites. I go, be punctual. And then I talk about it. Be committed. And I talk about it. Be adaptable, be aggressive, show effort, have a growth mindset, and be confident. Like if you're gonna make the wrong move on the basketball court, do it with confidence. Something good might happen. And I tell them, I go, look, if you noticed, my favorites have nothing to do with talent. My favorite has everything to do with effort, all things that you can control. And you just harp that into the kids all year long. For younger kids, if you have elementary school, middle school, there's a cool activity that I do. And it's called the perfect teammate, where I will circle them up and I'll ask them, I'll be like, hey, what makes the best teammate? Tell me what makes the best. And I'll literally, everybody's got to say something, and you can't say something someone else said. And I'll write it down. Then when I'm done, I literally turn it around and I have them sign it. I'll be like, will you be this teammate? Can you do all these things? The rest of the season, I have a clear clipboard, and I will show I'll put it on there on the back of the clipboard so that when I'm doing this, they can see it. So they're constantly seeing it. It's in front of them all the time. That works huge. I've seen a lot of success with female teams, not as much with the guy teams for whatever reason, but with the female teams, they see that. And they're like, I want to be that. So just anecdotal for you right there. On the first day of practice, this is huge, and I don't hear this talked about very much. Teach your kids how to interrupt you. I'm there for the students. I'm there to be a coach. And when I'm talking to a parent, that parent needs to know if a kid needs me, this conversation's over, I got to talk to the kid. But when you teach the kid how to interrupt you, and instead of just don't come and just tug on my jacket. Like, hey, coach, hey, coach. No. And I'll teach them this. I'll be like, and I'll put a kid in front of me. I'll be like, you're the parent. All right, you're Mr. Smith. Hey, Mr. Smith, how you doing? And then, I'll get Alex. I'm like, Alex, okay, Alex, I want you to get into my eyesight and then make eye contact with me. And that's it. That's all you need to do. I see you. I'll nod. I'll be like, okay, cool. And then I'll say to the parent, hey, Alex needs me right now. Can we continue this conversation later? Parent's like, sure. And then you go to Alex and you're like, hey, what's up? I get goosebumps when I tell a story. The power of doing that is so incredible. In the movie Avatar, they don't say, I love you. They say, I see you. And when you see a kid like that and you end a conversation and then go right to them and be like, hey, what's going on? That builds trust. That builds a sense of importance in their eyes that you have for them. And you have to teach them to do that. And they're not going to know. I also teach the handshake. And I know Andrew's on here, and there's a couple people on here that have been around for years. So you've heard me tell this story so many times, but I literally will line them up and teach them how to shake hands. Hands are wide, hit the web, go like this, turn, make eye contact, say your name as if they've never heard it before. make a pause in between your first and last. I teach them all this stuff. And what's incredible is when you see them 10, 15 years later, because I've been coaching for so long, they'll come right up to you and they'll be like, hey, coach, and they'll shake your hand and they look you in the eye and they say their name because you taught them how to do that so many different times. And what you'll recognize is that has nothing to do with sport and has everything to do with teaching respect and having integrity of a coach and being like, you're a father figure, you're a mother figure. You're somebody that this kid is going to think about the rest of their lives. And they're not going to remember the wins and losses. They're going to remember how you made them feel. And when you can see them and they feel that, I'm telling you, your favorite coaches are the ones that saw you. Like if you think about it, those are your favorite ones. All right. This has been a ton of information. We are 30 minutes in, and I wanted to get out of here by 45 after, leave time for questions. So number 3 is believe in yourself. That's the third module. Everybody feels doubt. The difference is you got to keep showing up. And when it comes to youth sports, you may have never played the sport before. Like that's totally possible, but you got YouTube, so you're fine. There are 3 ways to gain credibility. 3 ways. Number 1, be a professional athlete or somebody who's famous, some coach that everybody knows. Well, that's not available to most of us. I was the star of a farmersonly.com commercial, but that doesn't get me very far when it comes to coaching. So be somebody who everybody knows. That's the first one. If it's not for you, there's another one. Number 2, be somebody who has helped other people gain notoriety. Be somebody who has taken a team to a championship or helped a person lose weight or whatever it is. Like that you're known for helping other people. Well, there's only one state championship. There's only one national. There's only so many different ways that you can get that notoriety. So that might not be available to you either. But number three is available to everybody. Number 3 is be interested in your athletes. Be curious in your athletes. Anytime that you can show curiosity about their life. There's a soccer team that I work with where they incentivize their coaches to recognize when their kids get haircuts or when they're wearing different cleats or when they do something like they want you to notice stuff about your athletes. Imagine you're coaching girls volleyball and someone cuts their hair and you're like, oh, Jessica, I love what you did to your hair. Like that's a big deal. Some John comes in and he's got a new pair of shoes or something, like, dude, I like those new shoes. Like just anything that you can notice with your athletes, they're going to feel seen. It all comes back to feeling seen. And that's really, really important. But be curious about your athletes. There was this one time I was at IMG Academy and I had 11-year-old tennis players, which were some of the most entitled kids on the planet. It was awful. I had them for 7 weeks. The first 2 weeks were not good. And then their ringleader. Every team has a ringleader. Every group has a ringleader, right? Their ringleader, I noticed one day was out, and this will date when you'll know when this was. He was out doing this. You guys remember this? Pokemon Go. Yeah, it was like a summer where it took over the world. Well, I was at IMG at the time and I knew he was into Pokemon Go and I knew he would walk through the gym to get to the classroom at 1:00. So I made sure he watched me or caught me doing this. Now I had never done Pokemon Go before. So I downloaded it and I'm working on it and I'm doing this. And he goes, Coach, what are you doing? And I go, oh, there's a Pikachu by the dumbbells. He goes, no way. And he pulls out his phone and he's got all these secret weapons or whatever. He's like, that's awesome. He literally high-fived me. I was like, oh my gosh. He goes up to the classroom. He's like, I'll see you in a couple minutes, Coach. And I got up there. And I can't tell you, this kid was such a pain for the first 2 weeks. But because I took an interest in something that he was doing, it was huge. Like I walked in, he goes, hey, Coach was playing Pokemon Go. Oh, no way. So then I told him, I was like, all right, Tommy, I want you to stand up and tell the class why it's important to be good at Pokemon Go. And I just let him go. I don't even remember what he said, but he now had like a little platform and now he was kind of on Coach's team. and he was never a problem again. And the reason I was able to do that is because I was him. I was the troublemaker. I got in trouble all the time, and my coaches used that against me and helped me to develop some integrity and I was a better kid after I played sports, for sure. All right. So that was, module 3. Let me get into module 4. All right. Now, module 4, I know this is a ton of information, but I had to cut so much stuff out. Module 4, define success. This one's a little more difficult because the pendulum of expectations, if you are at a rec league, to a club team, to an elite high school team, to a bottom of the barrel middle school team with whatever it is, if you're getting paid to win or you're getting paid to develop, that will change your entire coaching philosophy, because one coaching philosophy doesn't match with the other one. If I'm getting paid to develop and it doesn't matter if I win, I'm going to coach differently than if I just need to win. Otherwise, I have to move cities and move my family to a different city because I lost my job. So you have to start there. When was it May 16th, I believe, is my next inner game for coaches. It's a cohort that I do where we talk about our philosophy. And if you're interested in that, I'll share some links at the end. But the whole idea is that you want to start with what is expected of you, and then you can start developing your coaching philosophy. It might change when you go to a different organization, but you need to know, what does success mean? I remember one year I was coaching the 6th grade team, and it was out in San Luis Obispo, California. And I remember at the carnival, we played 3 teams and we got annihilated. And it was so embarrassing because they were bigger than us, they were stronger than us, they were faster than us. I was like, we have to be in the wrong league. So I went and I talked to the commissioner and I go, hey, everybody is so much bigger than us. He goes, yeah, you're in the wrong league, but I can't change it. I'm like, well, you're the commissioner. You're literally the only person who can change it. He goes, no, the league is set. Like that's your schedule. I knew we were going to get destroyed every single game. And 3 games in, I remember Monday afternoon, I get them all there and I go, all right, guys. And one of the kids raised their hand and they go, Coach, are we going to win a game this year? And I had one of those moments. I don't know if you remember Zach Morris from back in the day, but Saved by the Bell. But it was like this moment where I stopped time and I'm like, should I lie to this kid? Or should I tell him that, no, we're not going to win? And I decided to be honest. I go, no, we're probably not going to win. I go, it's obvious we're in the wrong league. I go, but it's not going to change. We are playing these teams for the rest of the season. We might not win a game, but I want to suggest that maybe we can change what success looks like. Now, these are 9, 10, 11-year-olds. I go, if you decide that you don't want to play because, we're not going to win, zero judgment. After practice, turn in your gear. I love you. We'll see you next year. No problem whatsoever. But if you decide to stay tomorrow when you come to practice, I need to know what to ask you at the end of the game. What is success to you? The girl who asked that, her name was Ellen. And the next day I go, and by the way, nobody quit. Ellen came the next day. She was our center and we had a shotgun formation. She goes, no fumbled snaps. I go, okay, at the end of the game, I'm going to ask you, did you win? And you're going to know I'm not talking about the scoreboard. She goes, okay. All of them, the linebackers, no missed tackles, the receivers, no drop passes, all this, everybody had it. And then I told the kids to go home and tell their parents. So now the parents know what to ask them. Because it's so awful when parents are just like, hey, did you guys win? Like, that's the first question you ask. Are you kidding me? What if the kid didn't play? What if the kid was the reason they lost? I struck out in a playoff game my 7th grade year in baseball, and it ended our hopes to go to the playoffs. Like, if I were on the way home, hey, did you guys win? I would just start crying. I was already crying. I ended the season. I'm over it though. I promise. I don't hold on to that. But you never want to ask them how they went or if they won. It'd be like, how'd you play? How do you feel about the experience? And that goes along with I'm a huge proponent for teaching parents what to ask their kids, teaching them to leave them alone on the car ride home. You don't need to talk about their performance. They will bring it up if they want to. And in fact, if you don't bring it up, eventually they will. The best thing you can say, and I stole it from one of my best friends, John O'Sullivan, I just love to watch you play. Like, that's it. That's the best thing you can. And you tell parents to say that to their kids. And you say, when you get that urge to go all crazy parent on them, don't. Just be like, hey, I love to watch you play. Win or lose. Win or lose. And along with the defining success, I put in there transitions at practice. Spend time on transitions. This is when you can lose a lot of people. I know that Olga asked about going to breaks, but also you can lose the kids during transitions. So think about when they go from here to here, is there something they can do? Also, I reiterate in this chapter, which I talked about before, no lines. If you have 3 or more kids in line, number 4 and above or and beyond is not paying attention. You have lost them. You may not get them back the rest of practice. Keep lines really short, which makes it harder for you as a coach because you need to have more things going on, but the payoff is there. The return on investment of spending time on transitions is huge, and that will definitely help you out. All right, man, through 11:40. Let's go. Number 5. Is this good? Are you guys good? Andrew, all I can see is Andrew and Olga. So that's good stuff. All right. I'm hoping everybody, there we go. Jeff. Cool. All right. So last one is module 5, and then we're going to open it up for some questions because I want to hang out with y'all for a little bit. And I want to honor you for coming and hanging out with me. This is awesome. Thank you, Rob. Okay. Module 5, think like a teacher. This one is huge because if you don't set the expectations, then the athletes, they'll never reach them. And they'll always be lower than where you want them. So you have to set the expectation, but you have to do it in a way where you're constantly teaching. John Wooden always talked about, I'm not a coach, I'm a teacher. You all are teachers. You're literally teaching life through sport. That's what you're doing. 10, 15 years down the road, they're not going to talk about victories and losses. They're going to talk about, again, how you made them feel and the life lessons that you taught. Communication skills. There are 5 ways to increase your communication immediately. And you can do these at your very next practice. Number 1, take off your glasses. This is huge. Now, if you're wearing reading glasses, like I read them, I can't see the screen without them. It's not necessary. But if you're wearing sunglasses and you take those sunglasses off and you make eye contact with them, I'm telling you, they're not adults. We have to treat them as children because they are children. And they will be like, oh, you can see me now. The other thing is, I do this as an adult. I'll look at my reflection in the person's sunglasses, and sometimes I'm like, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention to what you just said. Because I could see me, like, it's like on a Zoom call, like you can see yourself. And if you've ever been on a Zoom call with elementary school kids, it's impossible because they're just making faces at themselves. But I had this experience with this kid when I was younger. I was a yard duty teacher. It was one of my first jobs out of high school. This kid, Robbie, he was on the spectrum. And if you know anything about kids on the spectrum, which most of you probably do, or have worked with some, they always pick 1 or 2 people that they'll look at or that they'll trust. For some reason, Robbie picked me. And I was his yard duty teacher. And I didn't understand why. One day he got in trouble. And they're like, hey, James, will you go talk to Robbie? He did this thing. And I was like, I'll go talk to him. So I went over there and I took my sunglasses off. I was like, hey, buddy, what's going on? And he told me, and I was just like, all right, cool. And he apologized and stuff. And then I go, hey, I'm just curious. And I was this punk 19-year-old kid. So I was like, why am I the only one that you listen to? And he pointed at my sunglasses. And I go, you want my sunglasses? He goes, no, you're the only one who can see me. And I was like, that is some honesty right there. That is so much honesty. And like Olga said, like it feels like you're hiding or separating yourself when you have your glasses on. It's the same thing when you have your hands in your pockets. It's just, you get nervous. But Robbie thought that I could see him. And so he couldn't do wrong, or he couldn't do bad things because I would see him. And, as he grew up as an adult, like I talked to him again about it. He was just like, yeah, I like it when people take their sunglasses off. So that's the first thing. Take your glasses off. Second thing, be mindful of the sun. I can't tell you how many coaches I've seen get mad at their athletes for not looking at them, not realizing that the sun is behind the coach. You're literally asking them to stare into the sun. Like, stop it. You got to be careful of what's behind you. If you're coaching a bunch of kids and there's a bunch of kids behind you, they're probably looking at those kids. So, turn them around. Have a wall behind you, have a tree behind you, have something behind you. So that's the second one. Be mindful of the sun, be mindful of kind of what's behind you. Number 3, take a knee. It matters so much to be at the eye level of these kids all day long. They're sitting in desks, they're looking up at their teachers, all this stuff. If you can take a knee, take your glasses off, there's nothing behind you, that kid's going to focus on you. Number 4, take a breath. Now, I go deeper in Friday Night Fire of the anatomy of a speech. And a big part of that is take a pause before you're going to give a speech. Let the moment sink in. Let everybody catch their breath. Just relax. Because sometimes all you need to tell somebody is, I believe in you guys. I know you're working really hard and it's tough out there, but I know you can do this. And that could be all you need to say. Go get some water, give each other some hugs, whatever you got to do. Let's get back on the field and let's go win this game. The 5th one is take 2 minutes or less. Now, it's 44 minutes into this webinar. I've probably lost half of the people that signed up or that showed up. And every once in a while, you pick up your phone, you got an alert here. It's a Friday, it's during the school day, whatever. There's so many different things that will take you away from this. But a kid's attention span is even less. 2 minutes or less. This is the TikTok generation. This is 15 seconds and they're gone. So you've got to be able to say, hey, this is what I need. All these games at the end of the game, you have 6 coaches and every single one of them needs to say something. Stop it. No, if you're going to do that, take your position group, have a conversation, and then come together as a team. Head coach, you talk, get out of there. They don't want to be there anymore. They gave you 3 hours of their life. Let them go home. That will go a long ways. And then the last thing about thinking like a teacher is decide on the fundamentals. Decide on what you want them to take away from this. The best case scenario for me was I was coaching, it's like YMCA 6th grade girls basketball. I wanted them to be able to shoot, dribble, and pass. That was it. So we focused on those things way more than formations and all. Like if you can do those 3 things, then you can, a bonus is rebounding. Like let's have some more chances. But we would spend the beginning of practice working on that, passing, dribbling, shooting. And shooting to the point where it's like, don't make the basket. Get up on a wall and do this 40 times. And then take it to the backboard, and I want you to hit the backboard 30 times. And then 10 times, I want you to hit the top corner of the back of the square. And they just make it over and over and over. So now you have 6th grade girls making 10 shots in a row. How do you think practice is going to go? It's going to go pretty dang good because they're pretty confident. I just made 10 shots in a row. And you do that to them every single practice. I mean, the wins happen automatically. Like it's not difficult. But I did that after I was at Fresno State, and former football coach at Fresno State, Pat Hill. I was sitting next to him during this Fresno State football camp, and I go, "What's the most important thing for a high school coach?" And he goes, "It doesn't change whether you're in middle school or you're in college. The fundamentals: tackle, block, catch." And that's it. Just tackle, block, catch. Like all those, everything else is just fanciness. Like just keep it really, really simple. And he was right. So the last story I'm going to send you with is a little girl named Cameron. It's one of my favorite stories. And Cameron was a girls basketball player in middle school. And she was on my team. She's the tallest girl on my team, tallest girl in the league. And I noticed during the first 2 games, she wouldn't shoot. She'd be right under the basket and she'd pass it off. She kept doing that. And so I pulled her aside privately and I was like, "Hey, why don't you shoot the ball?" And she goes, "My last coach told me I wasn't allowed to shoot." And I was like, what's his name? No, I'm just kidding. I was like, inside, I was furious. I'm like, someone told you not to shoot. You weren't allowed to shoot. Like, what is that? And she goes, yeah, I miss a lot. I'm just not very good, but I get a rebound and then I pass it to someone else. And I go, okay, cool. Well, different rules on this team. You're not allowed to pass it when you're in the key. If you have the ball, you have to shoot. She goes, Coach, I'll miss. And I go, I didn't say you had to make it. I just said you had to shoot the ball. She's like, okay. And she wanted to, do what her coach said. And so the next game, she gets the ball. And I remember she caught it. She looked at me. She shot. She missed the backboard. I was like, keep doing it. Like, she was so nervous. The next time she did it, she made it. And then she made the next 5 shots in a row. And all she saw from her coach was when she attempted, I was excited about it. I was like, keep going. Years go by and she gets a scholarship in college, and which is all on her. But I know that moment of saying, no, I believe in you and I need you to do what you need to do in order to be successful. We have those moments all the time as coaches. And we don't want to miss them because we're too busy, because we're on our phones, because we're talking to a parent, whatever. Don't miss those moments. Those moments are so huge. All right. Now, that was a ton of information, and it's been a couple months since I talked that much in one sitting. So all of the things that I just talked about right now are basically just from the different books that I've published over the last couple of years. So those are all available. But if you want to continue this conversation, on my website in the events tab, you'll see a thing called the inner game. And let me see if I can pull that up. Yeah, I do have it up. Okay, here. So it's a cohort, starts May 16th. And when you do this cohort, it's 7 weeks. We meet 6 times, and I keep it at 12 people. It's just something that is going to allow us to develop your coaching philosophy, to go through different things like this, and we're going to share with each other. And so, like it says, you don't need more drills, you just need direction. And these cohorts offer that direction. So if you go to my site, go to the events, there's a couple spots left. I know there's people that have been waiting for that for a long time. So, because I haven't done it since last year, but it is back. All right. I want to open it up for the remainder of time. For those of you guys that stayed here, thank you. Like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I got to watch Olga and Andrew the whole time because I couldn't figure out how to make all the different things, but you guys are awesome. So, I appreciate it. I'm going to keep, open it up to questions. For those of you who need to take off, hey, I respect your time. I appreciate you. Email me, do whatever you need. If I can serve you in any way, this is why I do what I do. But I'd love to answer any questions that you have. So for those of you guys taking off, thank you for showing up. For those of you sticking around, let's hang out for a bit. And then here's the link if anybody wants more information on the cohort. And I'll start calling on people if you're just sitting there. Because all I see is Jeff Anderson. Like, I don't even see the video, but I can see Olga. Olga, you got any questions?
I don't actually have questions. I wanted to say thank you for providing us with this useful webinar.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Very good. Yeah, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
James,
hey, Tim.
Hey, I guess we met probably way back like 2016, one of those very first Way of Champions conferences.
Yeah, it's been almost 10 years.
I'm meeting with Gary and John this summer as well in that cohort as well. So I'm excited about that. But I was going to tell you, one of the things that I utilize your team building activities book. And I'm curious if you've got any other ideas or other places to pull from. One of the things that's been tasked to me as the AD is also spearheading kind of like a staff faculty challenge and a traveling trophy. So, we rock, paper, scissors, like cups games, musical chairs. We have a winner at these meetings that we get to have about once a month, every other month. Any other places or ideas for me to look to find some challenges that everyone could participate in, athletic, unathletic, where there's one winner.
Yeah, and I get all my activities from spending years at summer camps and working with different teams and really literally just asking coaches, being like, hey, what's something that you do for this? And you'd be amazed if someone would be like, oh, I've been doing this for years, and you'd never heard of it before. Resourcing your coaches to give you ideas for that kind of stuff, I bet you have tons of untapped resources just underneath you. Just like, hey, you send out an email, be like, can somebody send me a team building idea for this? And then that's it. That's all it says in the email. I guarantee you'll get some crazy answers. So that's the first place I would start. I know recently I've been getting a lot of questions about what to do virtually. Because a lot of coaches are doing their like one practice a week on Zoom or whatever it is. I just tell them, it's like, hey, just get off as much as you can. Like try to get off the screen. Just if it's a 30-minute practice on Zoom and you can make it 10, like the kids will be so happy and they'll be like, yeah. But when it comes to those activities, Tim, like I would start with your coaches, because then you'll already have buy-in because it came from your organization. That's where I would start. The human knot. Oh, Olga, I love the human knot. That's always fun. Hey, here's a change on the human knot though. Don't do it with holding the hands. Get like a rope or a towel and let them hold on to the rope or towel. You'll find that's a lot easier on their stuff. Tim, I did remember one thing we did at Way of Champions a couple years ago. We tied balloons to everybody's feet and then put on music, and then you had to keep your hands behind your back and you had to go stomp other people's balloons. It was a lot of fun. Now the rules are, what's that?
Last one standing, you had a champion at the end.
Yeah. And so you have to say, look, you can't step on the rope. That's cheating. You have to step on the balloon. That's a fun one. Another one is with balloons. Now that I said that one, this one's a lot of fun. So you partner up, and then you can I do this one activity. Has anybody ever seen me do the 1, 2, 3 activity? Olga, yeah. So the 1, 2, 3, Tim, you're on my screen, so I'm going to use you. So I would say, all right, get a partner, and you're going to stand, and there's 5 levels to this. So if you're going to do this, you have to write this down. The first level is Tim and I, we're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so Tim, go 1,
2,
3,
1,
2,
3.
Right. And so you keep doing that. And then as the MC, you'll start clapping and everybody else will start clapping. And then you go, okay, now relax. And so then they get in this fighting stance and they do the same thing. Ready, Tim? Ready, go. 1,
2,
3,
1,
2. And then it just keeps going faster and faster and faster. Then you take out 3 and you make it a clap. And so now it'd be like 1,
2, 1,
2. There it is right there. And so you keep on going. And then I'll have them switch partners for 4. And then number 5, come back to the original partner and just go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That gets the energy level way high. You can do this at 6 o'clock in the morning with adults and they'll love it. But when it comes to balloons, is you give them a balloon and then you blow it up and then let it go and your partner has to catch it. That's so much fun. Give them space because they'll run into each other, but it's a very fun activity for everybody to do. So those are just a couple just off the top of my head that I've seen work really well.
Cool. Thank you.
You got it, man. Anybody else?
Tim, I just wanted to share too. I follow Rhett Larson, and he's #NoZombies, and he's for volleyball focus, but he does collaborative team building warm-up games that aren't the quote-unquote traditional ones, and there's a lot of fun ones that could be taken to that level of one winner if you wanted to, if you didn't want that team piece. And it's really awesome. He's on Instagram and he posts every day, but you can buy a membership as well, which is awesome. Yeah, it's really good stuff.
Yeah, that's a great resource. When I do my cohorts, one of the things that we do is everybody comes with a give. And so like Jeff would show up and be like, "Hey, I found this great resource," and then everybody has it. And so just using your teammates and your coaches is huge. Thanks for sharing that, Jeff. I'm going to check it out. I didn't know about that. All right. What's the name again? Oh, it's Rhett Larson, right? Is that right? I imagine RHETT.
Sorry, RETT Larson, and his hashtag is no zombies. So what he's saying in that his focus is to have fun, high energy, and all he is a warm up coach for elite college teams and professional teams, and that's it. He just does warm up, right? And he's got so many creative, awesome ideas that you never think of. That my girls love it.
That's
My
perfect.
girls.
I love it. All right, my friends. Looks like that's it. If there's any way I can serve, email me, text me. I know a lot of you guys have my number already. So, and if you want to join that cohort, let me know. And hey, have a great rest of the day. Have a great weekend. Finish the school year strong. The next one is going to be team building activities for athletes. We'll do that in 3 months. You can sign up on the website. And thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Bye, Tim. Bye,
Thanks,
Olga.
James.
See you, Andrew.
See you, James. Good seeing you. Good catching up.
See you, Andrew. See you, Alan.
Thank you, James. I missed the beginning, but did you say the book was going to be sent, the PDF? Were you going to send that?
Yeah,
to us?
the workbook, you can get the work here. I'll give you that link real quick while we're on.
Okay, thank you.
You got it. And then, do with this what you want. If you want to do it with your coaches, just go there. You can get the first chapter, and then you can also get the workbook.
Oh, great. All right, perfect. Thanks so much, James.
My pleasure, Alan.
It was awesome.
All right. Bye, everybody.